Section 3 in this book has a whole section on working with charcoal. Charcoal is one of my favourite media, so I'd like to give you a few demonstrations about the different kinds of charcoal you can use and the different tools you can use with it. I'm going to begin with homemade charcoal. I took this from my fireplace this morning. This is a piece of stick that's been burned right the way through, so there's no wood left in the middle of it. And it makes a nice big mark that's fairly unpredictable. It's good for covering large areas. It can also make quite nice lines. It's see what I mean by unpredictable? I'm going to find a piece that's going to work. This is a commercially made piece of vine charcoal. It's thick vine charcoal. It too can cover areas, a bit like the homemade charcoal, but it's a bit more even. You see how it picks up some of the marks from the rough surface underneath. You can do lines with this as well. And it will also cover large areas quite thickly. This is my favourite tool. It's the thin vine charcoal. You can do the thicker areas, but it does have a lovely line on it, and it's sort of buttery soft. See how you can get these large, beautiful, flowing. And it's got the little bits of dark and light in it that's already there that you have to work with. This is a charcoal pencil. It's got compressed charcoal in the middle of it. It's quite a useful tool if you want to do some outline or lines. The line drawing that comes from this is not so unpredictable as the vine charcoal. This is a compressed charcoal stick. It's much more dense than the vine charcoals and leaves a much darker footprint. But it's good for making different kinds of lines. But you see how much more even it is? There's the line. Now I want to show you some of the tools I use for moving the charcoal around. First is the piece of chamois leather. I often use that at the beginning of a drawing, and it will take some of the charcoal and give it some kind of background to sit on. You can also rub areas back with it. And take that, what you've picked up, and move it around. Good for making shadows. And then I use a paintbrush. It's just a very cheap watercolor brush. This is what, a size 6? I like using the flat end though, so you can get a sharp line and a broad line with it. You can use this to move the charcoal around. Softens the lines you've got there. It can pick up bits of charcoal and take it and move it elsewhere. Very useful. You can take it and add it to a line. You can drag bits over the edge or solidify some of the Then we've got the erasers. This is a gum eraser. You can mold it to any kind of shape you want, and it's useful for picking up little bits of charcoal, moving it around as well. So, working with charcoal is like a push and pull. You put some down, you take some back, and you get a depth of field when you do that. In a way I don't seem to get with any other media. It gets a little grubby, so you've got to keep moving the putty around. This is the white eraser. It doesn't leave such a trail behind it as some other erasers, so some people like it. I'm not a huge fan of the white one, but sometimes I find it useful if I cut a piece off the end of it. And I use this small piece for doing some fine work. This is the eraser I like the best. It seems to work with charcoal more effectively than the others. You see, I'm using these erasers as a drawing tool. I'm not really erasing mistakes. I'm picking out bits that I want to highlight. Then this last of all is quite a useful tool as well. It's the power eraser. Used by so it can soften lines. It can also draw itself. If you've got big chunks of charcoal you want to remove, particularly if I'm using thick art paper, this is a really useful tool. And then there's a non-mechanical one like that, which again makes, you can go in and do fine bits of erasing with it. So, I hope you go away and have a try of some of these different materials. See what you can come up with.